Explosive revelations from the Twitter files, this time on COVID-19 and the Biden administration's involvement. Journalist David Zwig reporting how the administration targeted Twitter users outspoken over vaccines, directly naming Alex Berenson as an account to be removed. Twitter also using bots to identify posts from health experts, which turned out to be using peer-reviewed studies or the CDC's own data to contradict the White House's official pandemic narrative. Joining the conversation all morning long, campus reform higher education fellow Nicholas Giordano and Republican strategist and lead attorney at the Madison firm, Jonathan Madison. It's great to have you both here. And Nicholas, I want to start with you first. Let's talk about this because, you know, what we're seeing is it wasn't just one administration or the other, it was both. And both administrations were trying to censor what they didn't want out on Twitter at the time. Either way you slice it, Twitter's a business.
Absolutely.
And Twitter was bowing to two administrations, not just one.
And I think the frightening aspect is where you have government officials talking about unapproved opinions being displayed on Twitter, and that's language that we see in 1984, Brave New World. You know, it really amazes me. The FBI is calling people that believe this conspiracy theorists, yet we have their own words, their own documents talking about this major censorship push against experts. We were told to believe the experts, to follow the experts, and yet they censored the experts.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And you know what also, too, I mean, if you look at the political side of this, I want you to listen to, this is Jen Psaki from July 15th, 2001. And again, both administrations have been accused of trying to pressure Twitter. But listen to Jen Psaki on July 15th. I want to get your reaction out of this.
We've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation.
All right, your reaction to what she had to say. I mean, a different story from the podium than what was real.
All of these reactions are very inconsistent, Cheryl. I mean, that's the sort of the narrative, the tone of this whole administration is inconsistency. When you're explaining your way out of a lie, censorship of certain social media platforms like Twitter. I mean, I think the bigger issue here, even beyond politically, is the legal implications of this. We talked about censorship. We talk about suppression of free speech. Twitter is not a government platform. Twitter is a private medium for social expression. The definition of suppress is to forcefully withhold information. I think that's a huge problem, and we've got to address it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and he also, this reporter Zwig, he also reported that the Trump administration, again, this is both, tried to curb panic buying content on social media in the early days of the pandemic, which I guess you can understand because, you know, going back to March 2020, the entire world was in a panic. So fair enough. But again, Twitter listened to both sides of this. They listened to both administrations.
They did, and I'm someone that used to be in emergency management, so I understand pandemic planning. And one of the number one rules in emergency management is that you want to do the least disruption possible in society, yet they did maximum disruption and tried to squelch any talk or any debate about the issues. And that's part of the problem. You had the public health sector and the CDC that was driving this without any input from other stakeholders in all other sectors of our government and our economy and within the critical infrastructure. And it really shows that the government and the big tech, the blurring of the lines, where they're merging into one almost.
But you know what, Jonathan, this is different now. I mean, the one thing that I brought up on the show before is that with regards to Twitter, at the time this was all happening, Twitter was a publicly traded company. Now they're private under Elon Musk. But the question remains, are they going to be open to shareholder lawsuits because of the Twitter files? And this is version 9 of the Twitter files we got over the weekend.
Absolutely. I think there's a certain, definitely a certain possibility of that. It's sort of a gray area at this point. The other question kind of raised by this, by implication, is how far does this go? How long has this suppression been ongoing? We know about the former President Donald Trump's Twitter account being suspended. We know that countless other conservatives have had their Twitter account suspended. So how long has this suppression been ongoing? I mean, I think that's one of the deeper questions.
Right. And it's not just, I mean, you know, this is a broader conversation, and we've got 3 hours to talk about it, gentlemen, so that's good. But, you know, the broader conversation here is it's not just Twitter. We're talking Facebook. We're talking things going on with Instagram. We're talking about, you know, social media in general. And should this all be a free platform? Should we have the debate in the public on Twitter or on other social media platforms and not have the government involved? And I think that's a great question we're going to get into today. Well, we are just getting started this morning.